you should embrace the old ways of the shinobi who served under ancient great generals. But remember to not only keep these ways, but to adapt them, each dependent on the situation and the moment. Ignorant ninja are not aware of this principle, but directly stick to the ancient ways and do not know the simplest of facts.
So adapt to the time that you're in.
Or situation.
Yeah.
What is that quote from?
Bansenshukai. These are all coming from the Bansenshukai,
Okay.
the Bible of Ninjutsu.
It's awesome.
1676, Fujibayashi Yasutake, 100% authentic ninja manual. Okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to read that one more time, and then you guys give me what you, because this is the words like literally from a ninja manual. You should embrace the old ways of the shinobi who served under ancient great generals, but remember to not only keep these ways, but to adapt them, each dependent on the situation and the moment. Ignorant ninja are not aware of this principle, but directly stick to the ancient ways and do not know the simplest of facts. So, what did he mean by that, and how do we kind of translate that same quote, make it work for us today? Anybody?
I would say, use the old traditions like, the honor and the, all that they trained in, but bring it to now. Bring it to that time you're in or that situation you're in and use it then. That's my understanding of when you read it.
And then the whole bit about that ignorant ninja, if they stick to sticking to like just the old ways and not adapting them and everything, you're gonna miss the point of like, well, that's not how they fight anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're gonna not prevail. You're gonna lose. Basically, probably die.
Right.
I mean, you need to learn how to adapt.
Right.
What was the part about simple facts?
The very part it says, ignorant ninja are not aware of this principle. He's talking about being dependent, to adapt them and depend on the situation. Ignorant ninja are not aware of this principle, but directly stick to the ancient ways and do not know the simplest of facts.
I feel like in that aspect, the simplest of facts is that things are always going to change. Time will always change. Weapons will change. Things will change. So you have to understand where you came from, what it means to be, but at the same time, you have to learn how to apply where you came from to the current situation, kind of like what Mr. Byers said.
Yeah, it's like if someone's on a mission or whatever, they go into a base or someone's house or something, they could, if they're sticking just straight up to the old traditional way of doing it, they're going to miss the point that, oh, somebody's probably behind that wall.
Mm-hmm.
Or somebody has a gun in the house and, I've got this. They're not going to necessarily pay attention to that because, like, this is the technique I have to do.
Right underneath the quote that I just read, it has about a couple sentences, and then there's the next quote. This is kind of in the same paragraph, okay? It is folly to see something as unchangeable and stick to an old method without realizing that things keep changing and are constantly in flux. There you go. So, when you have the Bansenshukai, the Bible of Ninjutsu, it's saying that you should embrace the old ways. We have traditions. We have things that we study, but you should remember to not only keep these ways, but to adapt them dependent on the situation and the moment. Ignorant ninja are not aware of this principle. So ignorant ninja, or the ignorant, are not aware that you should adapt it, that things should change. You know what I mean? Directly stick to the ancient ways and do not know the simplest of facts. It's folly to see something as unchangeable and stick to the old method without realizing that things keep changing and constantly in flux.
That's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, so now the reason I know everyone in this room is like, Sensei, it's self-explanatory. Then tell me. Now I'm asking the question. Explain to me how this book can say this. Or ninja manual, the Bible of Ninjutsu says that. Everything keeps changing. It's constantly in flux. You should know the old ways, but don't directly stick to them. If that is what the book says, then why do so many schools nitpick about where your foot is angled, what kamae you're in, whether you did that kata exactly correct, why it looks exactly like the master, when that actually goes against the philosophy of ninjutsu. It goes against the mindset of the ninja. The Bansenshukai is a collection of all Iga and Koga ninjutsu. How can it say that? And then people will be like, no, your ninjutsu is wrong. Well, is it really wrong? If you have to make it change and adapt to the situation? Think about, I mean, do you guys know what I'm saying? I understand that what I'm saying, what I read is very self-explanatory, but what I'm asking you is to tell me how people don't see it like that. They see it as something different. They clearly see it as something different.
Ignorant ninja.
Is that what it is? Or just ignorant ninja?
We are Westerners, we live in comfy first world countries where I can pretty much guarantee that 90% of martial artists have never been in a fight. I don't know what the actual number is, but it's got to be insanely high like that. People don't actually want to do martial arts for the ability to fight. People don't want to actually do ninjutsu for the ability to be able to sneak into someone's house and cut off people's heads. I mean, that's legitimately what ninjutsu is. People don't actually want that. What they want to be a part is a sense of longing, a sense of superiority, a sense of camaraderie, a clique. So they'll join something and want to be great, and then they instead ignore what they actually are supposed to, or what should be the goal, what they actually get out of it. You know what I mean? So people don't do, I mean, martial arts, when it comes down to it, like actual covert martial arts is to teach you how to fight. I will teach you how to put a stick in your hand and beat the crap out of someone.
It sounds really similar to whatever happens to someone's mind with religion.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah,
pick
what
and
can
choose
happen,
what they like out of the Bible, and
Yeah,
then,
that's the Bible.
it sounds like whatever that is, it sounds like the
Yeah.
exact same kind of thing.
And I'm not trying to say I'm trying to soften the idea of the dough in a way. I'm just saying, so we look at covert martial art. I'm gonna put a stick in your hand. You'll beat the crap out of someone. Instead, people want to know how the different ways that you could beat the crap out of someone, and then instead focus on what they get out of it. So I mean, they don't actually develop the skill. Yeah, because they're not actually doing it to be able to fight. They're not actually doing it to be able to do ninjutsu. They're doing it.
Oh, no, we don't.
They're doing it because it's a group. It's a nice fantasy. It's fun.
That,
I think,
Dungeons and Dragons.
you had.
I think, Sensei, I think it's kind of like what you said earlier, to say that we are giving you, the old ways of where you come from, and we are trusting you to find the new way as times change. He's trusting us with finding the way, whereas I feel like these other organizations are caught up in the knowledge, the gateway, and they're stuck there, and they don't want to knock on the door, like you had put it.
Right.
So I feel like that's kind of...
The only way to unlock the truth, the only way you can unlock the truth to the future, you got to have the key to the past. There's no way around that. To unlock a door, you got to have a key. And anybody that has a ninjutsu school, whether it's, this rue, that rue, this con, that con, this dojo, whatever, blah, 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 organization, kai, I don't care. If they're a ninjutsu school, they need to be training from the Bansenshukai. It is the Bible of ninjutsu for a reason. It's the foundation. And if the school that you're training in does not directly fit with the Bansenshukai, then I think there should be questions like, is what we're doing for the time period that it's been said that it should? Everything we do in Tomoru fits the Bansenshukai. I've made videos saying, look, we've done non-gyojutsu techniques from the Bansenshukai years before the English translation was ever put out. And I've made many videos. Did anyone ever say, oh, I did not know that? No, of course not. They just go on to the next subject and start, ripping and ripping. But the reality of it is, when you train, if you're going to study ninjutsu, you would want to study from the most base, the most authentic, the most base text there is, and then from their build. You know what I mean? And when you have that key, when you have that, the Bansenshukai, plus the traditions of our school, and the kuden of that particular ryuha, or this ryuha, or whatever, you can then start putting together and formalizing something that fits the time period of where it was supposed to be. Not just, I'm going to go to this particular teacher, and they're going to teach me something, and I have to do it because they said. That doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather look at history and look at the Bansenshukai and these other historical references and see how things really work, see how things really fit. And then, does our school fit in that time period? And so far, with all the research that we've done with the Bansenshukai, etc., and the traditions that we have, Tomoryu, etc., it all fits. To me, that is what's important.
Being aware of the past, present, the future, how things were, being okay with the fact that you're training and things and how they were, but also recognizing the facts and how they can be applied now, and getting good at applying those same concepts and movements now. That makes you, that keeps you from being tunnel vision, because when you stick with one way, you're just good at that way and that way only. The situation that you're in, whether it be combative or life situational, if it's not in your situation that you're used to, you're fucked. So that's why Kempo guys have problems with Jiu-Jitsu boys. That's why Jiu-Jitsu guys are all of a sudden having to do with strikers, they don't know what the hell to do. Because they've never grappled with someone where they're actually getting hit in response, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So when you live in one little world, you damn well better be good at that one little world. Now, if you, I'm being serious, but when you train all these different skills and you are aware that what crosses over, what doesn't, how movement can be applied from how it was back then to how it is now, all of a sudden you have skills that all of a sudden you can discover that you can do. That alone right there will get you a hell of a lot farther in any kind of uncomfortable situation than your own little specialty in your own little world.
Right.
What was that video of you doing a technique on a hill? You got criticized. Yeah, and you did
That's
something.
actually from the Bansenshukai shit.
And you were getting, apparently you were getting a lot of criticism because you did something.
I did it wrong, apparently.
You did something to keep yourself from flipping over yourself going downhill.
The technique is, I'm going to make it, it's called Tanuki Noki. And I'm going to make it just basic, because some of you guys, most people don't give a shit about online politics and bullshit. You know, 90% of anybody in any school don't.
Mhm.
The technique of Tanuki Noki, basic, is you're running, and when the person who's running after you gets close enough, you drop to your knees, they trip over your ass, and then you cut them down with your sword. In a nutshell, that's the technique.
Yeah.
Now Chapin did the video and he was running downhill. And because he was running downhill, if he would have just dropped to his knees, he would have face planted right forward.
Mm-hmm.
He would have face planted forward. And so instead, what he did was he kind of dropped to the side, kind of, you know, like, I don't want to say slide into home base, but you know what I mean by that, kind of slide down. The person who was chasing him tripped over him, busted his ass. Chapin drew his sword and killed him. So here's the situation. Now, when you read the kata, drop to your knees. They go over you,
That's the words.
and you cut them down.
Drop your knees.
Is that the important thing? Is sticking to the old way
Downhill.
that's so important?
Let's say it was nice.
Or is understanding,
Let's say it was
using
nice.
the words of Fujibayashi here, and it's folly to see something and stick to an old method without realizing that things changing and constantly in flux. So
Yeah,
he
we
got
got that.
yeah.
I thought of that video.
Yeah, he got criticism for it, and the thing is that technique came from the Bansenshukai. These quotes come from the Bansenshukai. And then you got a guy that's like, oh, wait a minute, he didn't do it correctly. You need to do like this.
He didn't drop to his knees going downhill.
And then in the same damn book, it literally says, you know, it is folly to see something as unchangeable and stick to an old method without realizing
So
that
I know
things
the guys
keep
are looking
changing.
at this.
Snow
I know-
rice.
I mean, it's like,
If it was
yeah.
snow rice, he couldn't have gone to his knees.
So I know that you guys are seeing this and you're going like through common sense. It's like, yeah, that makes total complete sense. What the fuck? But that right there, that is what happens when you have tunnel vision from doing what it is that you've been doing. You get so caught up in your own little world, then at that point.